you like my background?
Yeah.
It made me pick a recent photo, so I'm like, oh, that's dope. Welcome to my class, where we will talk about infinite wisdom and all in this universe, which is actually yourself. You must look within to be able to see the perspective from the outside.
Dude, you could pass for an Indian guru.
One must look within to be able to see from without, where the perspective cannot be seen if you are the perspector.
And I want to kind of apply the same thing we used with Antonio last time by looking at where was the flow blocked. So if we look at Hector, you had the idea was you wanted to achieve your goal up here, which is basically get into flow state or even to execution state on your goal, right? That's what you wanted. You wanted to do the right thing. But there was a reason why you didn't follow through and you were blocked. So what was that reason? Was it because there was a part of your life that wasn't secured? Was it because it's not a true goal, you weren't really inspired to do it? Or did you not have the right plan to do it? Or were you just not able to execute on a daily level with the right habit?
I feel like I wouldn't execute. I have a good plan in place, but I'm not doing that plan. It's pretty simple, and I'm just not, I guess, giving it the time of day, literally.
Okay, so is it because you're forgetting to do it on the day?
I feel like it's just a matter of letting myself believe excuses, because what I've been attempting is to get my goal done in the morning, and I give myself excuses of being tired or not feeling like it, or maybe doing it at the night when I know I won't do it at night if I don't get it done in the morning. But yeah, I'm trying to exercise in the morning, and I did that for one day out of the 7 days it's been since we've chatted.
Okay, so let's just go through your mindset. So when you've got this plan to do it in the morning, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? So you're obviously remembering to do it. You're remembering to think about it at least. What's that next thought that comes up?
Still, I guess, and I guess I defeat myself before I get the opportunity to even start mentally.
So how do you do that?
Defeated. I would say maybe laziness, or maybe even just the lack of I don't know if lack of motivation would be enough, because I feel motivated. Like it's actually something I really do want to do, but I just don't do it out of laziness, really. I feel like, because I do wake up early enough and I can fit it into my schedule, but I just choose not to.
Okay, so
Funny, in the night I feel all motivation, and in the morning I don't.
this is exactly why the reason we have this scale, so you can understand how to accurately use it. It's actually not an execution problem. Yours is purely an inspired problem. Even though you say you're motivated, you haven't learned to link up the pain and pleasure accurately enough in the moment to get excited to do it. Because you've created the time, you've created the schedule, you created the plan, but it's not a genuinely inspired goal, even though it sounds like it is. So how do we transition into being inspired? We need to use the hell if I don't, the heaven if I do. Otherwise, you won't get truly, authentically aligned. So until you go, this is going to give me pain now and in the future, and I feel that pain up front, and you project out to the point where you get leverage on yourself to what is not exercising really going to cost you. So let's just do a quick mental experiment to help you leverage this.
If I chose to continue to be unhealthy, it would cost me my life. Literally, I'll die at a younger age, a lot younger, I believe, in my life. And it's the main reason for longevity in my health, to be around longer, to enjoy the fruits of my labor, for the plans I have set for myself in my life. And I just want to be healthy, want to have future children. And yeah, and I feel like I have a couple ideas in my mind that might start maybe helping me with motivation.
Okay, so I'll give you a quick trick. You can do that. That can change the game so fast. Only takes 2 minutes. This is a 2-minute exercise, and when I do this on any goal that I want to make a real value, it changes the game. So it's a quick visualization you can do. You can do it in bed first thing in the morning, right? And you can choose to do this or not. But here's something that changes people's lives. You ask yourself the simple, the hell if I don't, the heaven if I do question. So you take your highest priority exercise, and you visually go, well, what's the hell if I don't? And you've got to get it to the point where you go, it's so painful that I don't want to stay in another minute in bed, right? So you extrapolate out, mate, I'm going to take off 20 years of my life. So I could die at 50 or 60 instead of 80, right? What's that going to mean? How, not only that, you've got to think of emotionally and physically, how's that pain going to impact you? What diseases are you going to get? What's cardiovascular disease going to look like? How's it going to impact your ability to attract a person into your life, to deal with kids, all of that? And when you get it real, that'll begin to motivate. But then you don't stop there, you give yourself the pleasure if you do. Again, it only takes 2 minutes. Just go, well, what's the pleasure I'm going to get? But not only in the future, but today. What's the reward you're going to give yourself today? You're going to improve your self-esteem. You're going to improve your energy. Simply by setting a task and doing it, you improve your ability to feel good about yourself. So all that's going to go. So that's just a wee thing that you can use that can really help you leverage that activity.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And one of those ideas I had real quick was just to watch an inspiration video in the morning. And I love what you painted out even better, because some of the best motivations is real visualizing what would be the result if I don't do what I needed to get done. And I love that because, yeah, it's motivation, sometimes inspiration, sometimes isn't permanent. So I think with those activities, it would make me a lot more successful for sure. I think that's a good exercise to do.
100%. And the more you can get in control of your own internal movie, that's going to be way more powerful than any external motivation you get from YouTube. Like, still use that. I'm saying this is a tool that you can take with you everywhere you go. It's always with you, and it's your power to change in your mind. So how interesting was that? Does it make sense that we just went through this, and even on the surface it looked like it's a habit problem? It's not a habit problem, because he's got the system, he's got the direction, he's got the plan. He doesn't yet have the inspiration. He needs the access to do it, because it's not truly an authentic goal, right?
Thank you.
All good. Okay, so recapping on last week, we looked at, remember, brokenness and oneness. And by the way, I appreciate all of your definitions on brokenness and oneness and what it means to you, because that is the foundation of which we're going to launch. And those watching by video that aren't here live, you're going to have a chance now to assess you according to your version of oneness and brokenness and where you're on the scale today, which is pretty cool. But we needed to, so is everyone clear on their definition of brokenness and oneness for their own life? Say aye if you're confident.
Aye.
Carlos? Oh, yeah.
Guys,
Okay. So everyone's clear on that foundation? That's really important. We move through, and I gave you a cheat code. This is the cheat page, which puts pretty much, imagine all the greatest wisdom you've heard in self-help work almost is on this page here. And you can break it down into as fine detail or as simple detail as you like. Basically, it's all here. Then we looked at, obviously, the purpose of life. We looked at being, doing, and having when it looks like in brokenness. We moved on, how that might look in the different areas of life. Then we looked at being, doing, and having when it looks right. Okay. Ultimately in life, we're usually a mixture of these two things because we've got a mixed set of beliefs in our subconscious, right? But you will get extremes. You'll get some people's lives that look more like this completely. And the closer you are to oneness, you'll get people's lives that more look like this. Does that make sense? And then ultimately, to have everything you want in life, to have the balance, it's going to be wholeness within, starting to do the leading indicators in doing, and the lagging indicators on the outside. Does that make it real simple now to understand lead and lag indicators, how they relate to being, doing, and achieving? Cool. So we moved on to filling in a definition, breaking it down, and then understanding this. Okay, are we ready to move on now to assessing ourselves. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to this assessment scale, and it's going to be really fun, but I encourage you not to take the blue pill, all right? So what does the blue pill represent?
Blue pill represents blaming your surroundings.
Yeah. The blue pill enables you to stay a victim, all right, to stay ignorant. And the blue pill would say, all of my life's perfect in every area, and you're not really willing to open up the lid and really get real. That's why we break it up into being, doing, and producing. So we get really real. Okay, let's carry on and let's start reading here. Who would like to start us off reading on this page? I'll just go ahead and open this page so that we can enlarge it. Who wants to start us off here?
I'll do the reading because Hector's driving, and I don't know if Carlos can help read too, but I'll start off. Why is self-assessment important? If we do not develop self-awareness of where we have come from, we are going, and where we are right now, we may be destined to repeat the mistakes of the past for infinite. Now they're infinitum. Now there may be a sense of bliss in not knowing. However, that bliss can easily turn into anguish when experiencing the consequences of compound neglect. With this self-awareness tool, you can get a kind of barometer of how your life is tracking and gain clarity over the reasons for your decisions. What is more, it will empower you to get back into the driver's seat of life rather than just drift along and allow your environment and impulses to make the decisions for you. The scale will range from -5 to +5. It covers 3 primary areas: the results you are getting, the actions you are taking, and the emotional association you have towards this area. At -5, it would be the worst results, worst actions, worst emotional associations you can imagine. At +5, you have the best results, best actions, and best associations you can imagine to that area.
Okay, well done. Any comments on that so far? Does that make sense?
Makes sense?
Okay, so let's break this down in a bit more detail. So what we've got here is we've got what you're going to be producing in the most horrible form, the life from hell versus the life from heaven. The actions, the leading indicators that will create that, and then the beliefs that create those actions. So let's go ahead and start looking at these ones. So maybe you want to carry on, unless, did you want to start us off?
Yes, you want me to read the produce or the vision?
Yeah. If you go right, we'll go right across. So we'll go from, vision.
Okay, so vision +5 is beautifully flowing, meaningful life. -5 is fragmented, rushed, and meaningless. The next category, actions. +5 is identifying priorities, planning, and prioritize. -5 is going with the flow, never planning and hoping. A perceive being category, +5, if I fail to plan, I plan to fail. -5 is planning and prioritizing is pointless.
Okay, great. So does everyone understand what we mean by vision in this context?
Yes, it's how will you think about the future?
Exactly, yeah. So think of vision as your time management, but also the vision you have for your life. So what I want us to do is if we've got a pen and paper there, I want us to go ahead and write out right now what our life is representing from our results and our vision, our actions, and our beliefs. So this here is an example for this person, but you're going to have a blank screen like that, and you just simply go vision based on what we just looked at. So let's go back here and just write those down. Give yourself a ranking and let me know when you're done. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, because if you've got a question, there's a great chance that someone watching by video is going to have a question too. We can go into more depth if you're trying to understand what the scale means or anything like that.
Doing the exercise, I feel like I gave myself, I'm doing good with vision, so I gave myself a 3 out of the +5. And it seems like it's a 3 across the board. When would it be a drastic difference?
When would it be? It could be a drastic difference if, for instance, you've just transformed some empowering beliefs. Let's say you've been living with some disempowering beliefs. You've changed those disempowering beliefs and you've got the right set of beliefs, but your actions haven't caught up with your beliefs yet, or you've still got other beliefs that are interfering with your actions, and then your lag indicators means that you've got random results because you've got random beliefs. Does that make sense?
Got it.
So that would be an example when they won't be across the board.
Okay. Finished with vision.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead. And who wants to read? Or should we just interchange?
The physical?
Yeah. Let's go physical.
Okay. +5 is abundant energy, health, sleep, vitality. -5 is perpetually sick, tired, hungry, fatigued. Proact actions is optimal sleep, nutrition, rest, and exercise. -5 is poor sleep, nutrition, rest, and movement. The being part is my health is my responsibility, versus -5 is health is not important.
Okay, so this is exactly what we're talking with Hector earlier on, which is hilarious about that, what we're focusing on there. But if we look at this, you got physical at the highest level with physical, imagining your body just in amazing shape, feeling great, feeling the energy, having the body composition, having it the way you want. And at the bottom is pretty much the opposite of all those things. So has everyone got their rating down for that one?
Yes. And Hector, by the way, and anybody else watching, this is going to be posted tomorrow, so that way you can go back and get a journal and rate yourself in this scale.
Yeah, I'm like mentally noting it right now. I'm almost at my location.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah. No, I couldn't tell you were driving because your background. That's pretty cool. All right. So
yeah.
I thought you're still in guru mode. But what I'll do is, okay, well, let's interchange it with Antonio. I'll go one and you go one. So intellectual, on the highest end, you've got knowing your own opinion, creative problem solving, feeling the joy of learning. On the lowest results of intellectual is you'll fall for a scam, you'll lose money, you won't think for yourself, you'll feel bullied. For the actions for intellectual, at the highest level, you've got sharpening your mind regularly, thinking through ideas, enjoying the curiosity of learning, enjoying the joy of learning. At the lowest end, you're blindly following others, you've got mental laziness, you're relying on social media as your candy pot to get you through for your quick fixes of dopamine hits, of what's coming up on YouTube, what's coming up in the war in Iraq. All those things you're relying on external sources primarily to guide your opinion. And on the perception scale is I reap what I sow, or -5, it's not my fault if I don't learn. Okay.
I wrote my answers there. I'm going to go into emotional.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That was spiritual. All right. +5 is peace, passion, and purpose for results. Or -5 would be guilt, shame, depression, suicide. The actions is living conscious, meditating, living by principles. Or -5 is violating your conscious, taking the short-term path. The being part of spiritual is +5, finding peace is worthwhile. -5 is I'm not worthy of peace.
Okay, excellent. So spiritual is a massive one, and this relates most strongly to our sense of being, as well as emotional, but I would say even more spiritual. And when I'm saying spiritual, it's not about the religion per se. This is about your own journey on your path and how well you're aligned to your version of spirituality, how well more you're aligned to who you are as a person and what you believe to be right. If you're out of alignment with that, you're going to have a real lack of oneness. So this is quite strongly one, but we can see on the more spiritual outcomes are things like peace, passion, purpose, those amazing things that you feel when you're at the higher levels. All right. But you'll see someone that produces fruit or rotten fruit will be things like guilt, shame, depression, suicide, right? Suicide ideation. They come at the lower end. They're symptoms of something where someone doesn't feel great about themselves. So that's kind of the extremes. Make sense?
Yep.
Maybe we'll keep going. Like, are you ready now, Hector? Are you back on, or are you still driving?
Yeah. No, I'm parked.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll give you, if you're ready, we can give you the next one to read, which will be the emotional.
Yeah. +5, enthusiasm, balance, excitement. -5, brownout, boredom, apathy. In the action section, +5 is plan, balanced, enriching activities. -5 would be never plan and prioritize and go with the flow. Perceive or being. 5, my experience of reality is up to me. -5 is whatever will be, will be.
Okay, again, note down your number here. Again, if there's any questions, just fire them out and it'll help us all learn.
Am I on the next one?
Yep.
Financial, +5 is stable, savvy, secure, independent, free. -5 is trapped, fearful, impoverished, crime. That's bad results. Actions for financial, +5 is planning, envision, invest, budget, or the opposite of that, -5 is no plan, impulse buying, and buying liabilities. The being part, I can grow my wealth at will, or number -5 is I'll never get ahead. The lottery ticket buyers.
Yeah. So go ahead and give yourself a rating on your beliefs, your actions, and your productions. And then when you're ready, Hector, you can go on to the career.
Career, +5 on results would be excellent, nexus, fulfilled, enriched. -5 would be anger, bitter, lonely, substance abuse. With proact or actions, 5 would be self-work, leading indicators and preparation. -5 would be laziness and no care or engagement. Now with perceive or being, +5 would be I have a special service for the world. -5 would be I have no value to offer. I am useless.
Yes. Okay, now I will say on the career, this is a really big part of many people's lives. This can take up, a good third of their life. And so even though it looks like one bar on here, it's actually, it takes up a lot of time of the actual physical day for most people. So, all right, back to you, Antonio.
Relational, +5, connected, love, fulfilled, enriched. -5 is anger, bitter, lonely, substance abuse. The actions, understanding win-win, empathetic
That's short for communications.
communications. -5, assuming, lose, win, pretend agreements. The being perceive, I can cultivate fulfilling relationships. -5 is I have to dominate or manipulate.
Okay, can you see how there the belief really sets up the game for going interactions?
Mhm.
Can you see if we go a bit more into being, you can see that the individual shaped through their attachment style, right? Were they avoidant attachment? Do they have anxiety attachment? Did they not get the proper love they needed when they were a child? And this will result in their attachment style later in life. So it can result into unnatural clinginess or unnatural defensiveness or unnatural isolation. But either way, they have an attachment style. But that forms their belief system by how they automatically act. A lot of people aren't even conscious of that because it's so subconsciously embedded. But I just needed to paint that as a bit of a picture, that being goes deeper into the subconscious than just the environment. It's to do with the self-talk as well. Okay, living environment.
Living environment. Results produced. 5, tidy, clean, safe, life-giving, inspiring. -5 would be untidy, filthy, moldy, toxic. In proact or actions, 5 would be great systems, cleaning, tidying, art. -5 would be no systems, neglect, pile up, compound. Perceive, being. 5 would be I create my world through decisions. -5, I can't really control anything.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to ask you guys a question in a second about the beliefs that we just looked at, but I want you to understand that the living environment is not just micro, it's macro. So you could be living in a dysfunctional macro environment, which you can't control systemically where you were born, but you can end up deciding where you're going to allow yourself to live, right? But at every level of life, whether you're born into poverty, born into a defunct system, or born into wealth, it's still, you've always got one circle of control and space. Could be your room, your bed that you can make. No matter where you find yourself in life, there's always your space. You can create your heaven on earth. And then you can start expanding that through life. So I want those who are watching a video, you might not be at Sosa's point where he's made this money, he's put himself in his environment, he can live where he wants. It's great. You might not be in these positions. You might be starting out in your mum's basement, right? In some rundown shack, but you're going to make it out. But how do you do that? You start by taking control of your world, not your mum's world, not your community's world. It starts with you, because if you've got a messy bed and you're trying to sort out the defunct problems of your street neighborhood where there's drug addicts and that, you're trying to sort that out, but you can't even sort your own bed out. There's no point trying to change your community. It should be an overflow. So sort your bed out, sort your room out, get a great system of what you have control over, and it will spiral into what you need. Anyway, this is a really fun one because you can start to visualize, and this will get exciting. You can start to imagine, what if I did have an amazing, perpetually tidy, clean, safe, life-giving and inspiring environment where my literally environment inspired me to do better. This is why the rich get increasingly wealthier and more creative and better, and the poor get increasingly the other side, is because often the environment now almost perpetually creates the right state for them. So we're actually in control of our space, but we can grow that over time into the vision that we create for ourselves. Is that inspiring?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go clean my room.
If that's the message you got, great. Hey, so I want to ask you guys a question. What do you notice between all those beliefs? If we just look at that perceived column, right? What do you notice about those beliefs as you look through them, how they relate to each other?
That you'll never get the results or the actions if you don't have the being or the perceiving.
100%.
Yeah.
Can you notice a real link between the red pill and the blue pill when you come to the being? Can you see how subtle that is? Can you guys notice the temptation in your life when you've been tempted to take a blue pill on a belief level? And it will happen very insidiously, but you'll be confronted with something. And it's just like the exercise thing or whatever. It's like, if I get overweight, it's not my fault. I can blame my parents. But it can happen so fast. You take that blue pill and you let yourself off responsibility, right? But this is where it counts. So if we don't take control of the perceiving, well, we're fighting a losing battle of the actions. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm saying. You're not lazy, Hector. Your battle is at the belief level and at the belief and the value level, the inspiration level. Right? You change that.
Yeah.
Your doing will take care of itself.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, excellent. So now what I want you to do is I want you to look at your results that you've got, and I want you to have a look at what really stands out from those results. Where are the big discrepancies you see in your life at the moment?
My lowest ones were probably with financial. I'm beginning to start being more serious with investing, saving, and things like that. I would say there would be one of the weakest points financially. I'm not as stable, savvy, and secure as I could be, and I don't necessarily feel trapped either. But yeah, I would say that would be for me probably the biggest section. Everything else I feel like is going to be on the more positive side for sure.
Okay. What number would you give yourself on the producing of the finances?
So producing, I feel like it's pretty high, maybe like 2 or 3. I would say 2. On its way to 3. But with my actions, when I receive, I'm making more now than I have in a while. So like I just am kind of spending just as much as I'm making. So now I need to, have better plans in place and relax on liabilities. And then with being, unless you want me to focus a little bit more on action, but with being, I don't want to jump ahead. With being, I would say that I would be putting it like at a 2 or 3. I would say 2, because I feel like I have a lot of potential in what I'm doing for money right now, so I feel like that's on the up and up. It's just me knowing I need to be a lot more responsible when it comes to planning, not impulse buying, and with liabilities, things of that nature.
Antonio, can you see a real connection? Does that sound like someone familiar maybe about 4 years ago, that story?
Dang, has it been 4 years?
Or maybe 3. Oh, no, 4 till 2019.
Dang. Yeah, Hector, when I met Gus, I did this thing, actually, this exact same thing that many years ago, and I was in the exact same boat. And if you maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys can link up on WhatsApp or something, but if you do Gus's financial course, so digestible, so mind-blowing, you'll wish that you did his financial course since you started a long time ago. But the second best.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember an intro to that course, possibly pertaining to buckets and different systems, but I don't want to get into that. But right now, but it sounds like something I do need for sure. And
well, if you want, we can link up later on WhatsApp. But maybe before we do that, before I go on, I just want to ask Antonio, just to make it clear, this is not like pie in the sky. This stuff really gets results. Tell me the biggest difference it's made on your producing and your experience of life by actually applying the Ignite finances.
It's amazing because once you just make the plan, learn the mindset, build the foundation, you'll feel so abundant that you'll actually get to start working on the other areas of life. Because the financial plan, you're not really supposed to spend that much time on it. You set it, forget it, and then you look back and you're ahead on every account, margins and everything, investing, savings. You feel so wealthy, and it only keeps getting better and better and better. But again, you set the plan, you forget it, and you spend the least amount of time once you master it, and it doesn't take that long to master it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yep.
Okay. Well, would you carry on?
I just to wrap up that note, I feel like now that I'm in a better position financially, like I could actually use that course. I feel like back then I couldn't even use it yet.
Sure. Well, man, we can definitely get together and sort that out. That'd be great. But just let you know, I haven't had to pay a bill in my life for the last 15 years of my life since I've applied this.
Nice.
So I've been living pretty much like a kid for 15 years, nothing to worry about bills. I'll show you how to do it. It's not that I don't pay my bills, it's that I got a system where I don't have to think about paying any bills. There's a technique I show. Literally, you know your bills, you set it and forget it, and you can literally live, not like an irresponsible person, but kind of like an irresponsible person, So,
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna read this page just to really lay the scene. and then we'll just these next 3 pages, and then we'll wrap it up for today's session. How does it sound?
That's good.
All right.
All right, so back over to you guys for the reading.
Values, beliefs, and environment. What are the biggest factors that shapes one's internal world? Environment. And then I'll let you do the last 2, Hector. The environment one is exposed to is leading indicator for many. When a person is enjoying a supportive, thriving, positive, clean, and healthy environment, they are more likely to respond favorably to their conditions. When one is exposed to a harsh, cutthroat, negative, toxic environment, they are more likely to respond adversely to these conditions. Now, this is necessarily the case for every person. Nonetheless, it is important to understand that this exists.
Values. Another aspect that relates massively to a purpose internal world is their value system and their related rules. If a person is not living by their highest priorities or understands how to link their behavior or current situation to their most important goals, there will likely be a disconnect and the propensity to experience learned helplessness. Belief. The next massive part of someone's internal world are their belief systems. Their belief systems contain many things, including consciousness, self-image, self-image, and their ability to live up to their own standards. If an individual has been taught to live by a set of externally imposed standards, which they do not internally own, then there will be cognitive dissonance and a disconnect. At one level, the individual believes they need to adhere to these standards for their need of survival or because of internal repercussions, yet they don't know why. This will lead to a lot of internal conflict and self-flagellation.
Flagellation, which basically means beating yourself up. Okay, That was really well read, guys. Is there any questions? And there's a lot, it's a deep page, some big stuff there, but just want to get the big picture of being. Any insights you guys got there? Anything that you want to note on that, or any questions?
Like you said, it's real deep and digestible, I would say too. You know, it's something that I would, like to read. So I'm excited that the videos be going live, in the future, but something to, chew on for a while for sure.
Sure. Now, the exciting thing of each one of these is actually independently tweakable, changeable, right? The amazing thing about our being is it's not set in stone, but a lot of people have experiences when they're 5 years old and they get set in stone in their subconscious because they get a disempowering belief that they can't change it. So they end up replicating the environment they were brought up in. If it was impoverished because they don't even know how to change it, they believe they're destined to stay in it. Their value system, they get imposed values from their mum, their dad, their community. They don't own them. They get driven from the outside in. They have children they don't want. They have a partner they don't necessarily want. They end up going around these cycles in their belief systems. Can you see how the power of this, when you understand everything comes from being, but you're in control of your being, how does that feel?
I get what you
like
mean.
you're I would say I think your question was when you are at oneness in being and controlling your environment and beliefs. I believe your question was, how does that feel? Is that right?
Yeah. How does it feel to know that all of these are actually under your ability to control them?
I love that question. It makes me feel like a mini god of my universe, the creator of my universe almost.
Totally. But again, blue pill is that none of these actually are fixable. These are fixed. They may be difficult to detect, but they're not fixed. And that's the whole thing about Ignite. You see that pyramid of a life alignment, we can find out exactly what's going on. Okay, so this page, I'll just recap this. We won't have to read this because I don't want to overload with information, but this will lead way into the next session. Let's just see if it's worth reading this today. No. So what we're going to do, what's going to be really fun to do next session is we're literally going to rank your life areas and we're going to prioritize them. And even though a lot of people say, oh, they're all equal, they're not, because we don't make decisions in life. We're going to find out back on this page what you're most automatically inspired to go and fulfill. And we've got a real special technique to help you find your number one mission in life right now. Does that sound exciting?
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
So we've laid the foundation for that for next week. So main takeaway for those at home or those watching by delayed telecast is go through this, go through the life assessment, find out where you're lacking, find out your whole scoreboard. And then next week, we're going to go and we're going to work on mission. And we're going to find out, we're going to literally turn your values into mission. And we're going to find out your 3 highest priorities. So here's an example. And we'll find out why your number one is your number one. And we'll find out the order. Okay? So, any questions before we get into Kaizen?
No questions.
Nope.
All right. Well, maybe let's jump into Kaizen. What did you guys enjoy most about today's session?
Always love working harder on myself than I do anything else, because then my life just continues to keep getting better.
That's
And
great.
I love being able to have some practical, useful tools that I can implement, because, you know, realizing that I've been doing the same thing, expecting something different, as cliche as it is, and I keep expecting to one day wake up and be motivated. But no, I gotta physically now do things that will motivate me. Like consciously, physically set the time aside and then proactively think about what you told me to. And if I even need to use something external, but now it's like you said, it's all internal. So I think by having that meditation of what would happen if I don't do something and what would happen if I do something would put me on track. So I think that's exciting for me to put into action.
Okay, cool. So you're going to commit to that leading indicator?
Yep.
So the cool thing about this is you're not even going to set your goal to go and do the exercise. You're only going to set your goal to do the leading indicator, right? Which is the visualization for 2 minutes each morning. So even if you don't do it, you've achieved your goal, right? But then I can guarantee you do that right, you will do the exercise. Because you'll be inspired from the inside out. And it's just like running a bike. You might not do it perfectly the first time, it might be clunky, but you'll get the hang of it. And eventually you go, I've done it before when I used to go from loving my lines in bed till 8 a.m. to the point where I was up at 5:30, couldn't wait to get to work because I used that tool. Incredible tool. It can change so much of your life.
Thank you.
Welcome. What did you guys learn? What was the most helpful insight in today's session?
Learning how you're using that tool and facilitating it to like my brother, because I love how you were able to get past Hector's front layers to get into the real root of, you may think you're motivated, but you have to let it really hurt, and you have to let it really inspire you.
Brilliant. I love that, because it's not what it presents, right? What most coaches, what I would have done in the past, most likely, is I would have dealt with what he presented on the surface. I would have doubled down on habit. I would have gone, okay, Hector, mate, we're going to get you more disciplined on the day. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set the alarm on your clock and we're going to do this, you know. You can see coaches go down that track, get into more like tick the box, right? But that would have been off track because we wouldn't have identified, we wouldn't have perceived accurately, would be mission number 1, to perceive accurately what really was going on. So that's a great insight, Antonio. Very interesting you picked up on that.
And the little insight I have too that was awesome is just making it very clear that our environment is manipulatable and we need to control the closest things to us and breed life and success into them, and it would just flourish out. And that's so true. A lot of us just, you know, get in routine and be complacent with certain things when you can just literally improve things every single minute of your life.
I love what you're saying there, because one of the greatest things I had to teach some clients during COVID was how to take control over the little space that they had. They couldn't control their macro environment. They couldn't control what was happening here. Some people's whole environment they could hate their neighborhood, they could hate their house. I said, you can control your room, right? You can control your bed, you can control your whole environment. So literally, I could take them from a place where they felt totally helpless, like they're being victimized, to a place they loved their own environment because they took control of their world, their internal perspective. But if you're not taught that, you just get bullied around by your world. But yeah, it's a great insight. Last two questions. What was the biggest surprise? What surprised you most today?
Hector's amazing guru impression.
Yeah, man, dude. I reckon it'll go viral.
That's gonna make it on the video.
Yeah, I think that should be a thumbnail because I think we're going to get more views with that than anything else.
As long as you cut me into the profits, we could discuss that later. Then I am all for it.
Maybe I'll give you a free course.
The pleb, I should just be happy with the exposure actually. But no, it's all jokes aside, it's very good, and we can go through months and months without having an alignment for our lives really, and I feel like this is what this is. It's a really good alignment, and not just that, but maintenance and repairs to our lives with these practical things that you bring up, and it's a great mixture of almost like philosophy, therapy, and life coaching all in one. It's what you're talking about is all encompassing in all areas of your life. So
yeah, it's a really unique mix, right? You've got, as you say, philosophy, psychology, pure application, business. You got everything you need for success and wholeness.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, which is what the principles have been designed upon. So I really appreciate that feedback. Obviously, the last question was the action step. So we know yours, Hector. What's your action step, Antonio? Is it to keep cementing the macros to carry on, or is there a different one? Have you mastered that? Is it in the whirlwind of life, or do you still need to cement that habit, discipline?
No, it's there. I need to now focus on hitting the protein. So I'm gonna be hitting 80% of the total protein target. So that's the next goal.
Okay, cool.
Eating enough.
Well, that's an awesome session today, guys. Yeah, next session, obviously, we're going to look at life priorities and how these prioritize in our life.
Thank you